Issue 7. My Worries. The world today revolves around my troubles. Chief among them are the big four: exams, pocket money, dates, and dieting. Test-taking is a way of life. It seems that all I do is study for some exam, take it, study for another one, take, study. Is this all there is? I guess I do okay on my exams, but I cram for them for weeks at a time, and a day later I seem to forget everything. So I wonder what I really learn. But meanwhile, the pressure. I wish there were some way to end this. Though I have too many exams, I never have enough money. I don't get a very large allowance to begin with, and the little I have doesn't last very long. I try to budget myself, but by the end of the week I'm always short. What can I do to improve the situation? Another problem is dating. Because of my shortage of cash, part of the difficulty is deciding where to go on a cheap date. What can I do that my date would also like? But an even bigger problem is that my friends seem to have a lot more dates than I do, so I wonder what I'm doing wrong. What can I do to be more popular than I am? The last thing on my list is my weight and my appearance. My whole body seems to be changing all at once. My voice, my face, my size, my shape, everything. I try to eat healthy meals and to watch my calories, and I try to get lots of exercise, but nothing seems to help. I suppose I would have fewer problems if I had different parents. After all, I inherited my low intelligence and physical characteristics from them. And if they were richer, I'd have more money. How is it that my brother and sister don't have the same problems I have? Bob gets an A on every test, but I never see him studying. And Sue eats whatever she likes but never gains weight. So I'm beginning to wonder if we actually have the same parents after all. Maybe I'm adopted. What does it mean? 1. The world today revolves around my troubles. 2. I'm always short. Comprehension. 1. How many worries does this writer have? 2. What does he seem to spend most of his time doing? 3. Does he think studying hard teaches him anything? 4. Does he think his money is adequate to his needs? Why or why not? 5. Does he seem to have high self-esteem about his looks and his popularity? 6. How is he changing?
Teen Talk. One. Are you nervous about your upcoming exams? How do you prepare for tests? 2. What happens if your grades fall short of your expectations? Are you disappointed or don't you worry much about it? What about your parents? 3. What do you do when your exams are over? 4. How much pocket money do you get? How often? What obligations do you have in exchange? How do you spend it? 5. What would you wear on a date? Where would you go? What would you talk about on a date? 6. Are you on a diet now? Why or why not? If you were dieting, what would your plan be? 7. Have you ever been on a diet before? Was it easy? Was it successful? 8. Do you think that people can stay fit just by dieting? 9. Do you get along well with your friends? What about your siblings and parents? 10. What are the most urgent problems you need to cope with now? 11. Have you ever thought you were adopted?
Opinion samples. One. Exams used to be more stressful than they are now. I would study many hours a day for weeks in advance to prepare for them. Then I would take the tests, but even after they were finished, I would worry about the results. I couldn't sleep or eat well until I found out how I did. I would be tense and sick. My whole mind and body would just shut down. But I have learned to take these tests in stride. I still study hard, but I don't push myself like I used to. When I'm done, I know I did as well as I could, so I no longer worry about the result. If I ever got all the answers right, I'd be very happy. And I suppose if I missed them all, I would feel terrible. But neither case has happened yet. I do about as well as I did before, but I don't have nearly the same level of stress.
Questions. 1. Does the person take study any differently than before? 2. What has changed?
2. Right now, dating isn't very serious for me. Sometimes I go to a movie with a date, and we get some fast food to eat. But someday I would like to be able to dress up in formal clothes, go to a very fancy restaurant, and a lavish live show. My date and I could talk seriously about personal relationships and what the future might hold for us. We would not have to worry about what time we got home, so we could be ourselves and do whatever we liked. But maybe I'm just fantasizing. My older cousins have a lot more dating experience than I have, but they've never had a date like the one I described.
Questions. 1. What do you think the perfect date would consist of? 2. Do you think the experience described in the passage ever used to be normal?
Dialogue. Do you think our parents were ever really the same age we are?
Oh, they must have been, I guess. But based on the way they behave sometimes, it sure is hard to believe.
It's like I'm the first teenager in the history of our family.
I thought our parents should be able to help us solve our problems because they had already dealt with the same issues themselves, so they would have some experience to guide us.
Instead, they act like I'm an alien, with issues that they can't even imagine.
My mom acts like she never had any experience at all with dealing with love, but I know she has not spent her whole life as a nun.
I try to talk to Dad about making life choices that will make me happy in the future. But it's like he has a recording that he plays back every time, telling me to study hard, go to a good university, and make lots of money.
I wish it were that simple.
Maybe when our parents were growing up, the world really was different than it is now. Maybe they never were in our situation.
That's not very likely. I think that they just want us to respect them. If they're more perfect than we are, we'll think they have all the answers.
I'd like it better if they tried to help me with the wisdom they'd picked up from their actual experiences growing up, instead of the official line that I can get anywhere.
Their parents probably treated them the same way.
I guess they've just forgotten what it was like to be in our situation.
Questions. 1. How would Ike and Janet like their parents to act? 2. Why don't their parents do that? 3. What is Ike's father's advice to his son? Is that advice very useful?
Read and discuss. Fad diets. Too good to be true. Fad diets are a short-term approach to losing weight but never deliver lasting weight loss. You should always be skeptical about any diet that claims or implies weight loss of more than 1 kilogram per week. Gradual weight loss increases the chances of keeping weight off. Most rapid weight loss is quickly followed by an equally rapid gain of new weight. Promotes a magical or miracle food. No foods melt away fat. Every food is stored by the body in the form of fat and must be burned off. Restricts or eliminates certain foods. Recommends certain foods in large quantities. Insists on specific food combinations, or has rigid menus. Losing weight is actually very simple and enjoyable, and based on common sense. Any combination of eating less and exercising more will remove fat. Implies that exercise and other lifestyle changes are unnecessary. Exercise alone is far more effective than a change in diet alone. Relies heavily on undocumented case histories, testimonials, and anecdotes, but has no scientific research to back up its claims. These are advertising ploys, not evidence. The truth is that losing weight permanently takes work. Eating habits need to change and activity needs to increase. Doing so is not always easy, but the concept itself is extremely simple.
Questions. 1. What are some current popular diets among teens? Have you tried any? Do you think any of them produces the expected results? 2. Do you think you need to diet? Why or why not? 3. Assuming that people are healthy, do you think too much attention is placed on how they look? Why are skinny people preferred over fat ones?
Pictures talk. 1. Questions. 1. What worries do you have that others think are trivial, but which concern you constantly? 2. What are the most serious problems you have now? Do you have any ideas for resolving them? 3. Some people say you don't have to worry about anything because you can't fix it anyway and it will disappear by itself as time goes by. Explain why you think this is good or bad advice.
2. Questions. 1. What kinds of worries does your family have? Are there any solutions? 2. What are your country's biggest concerns these days? Who can solve them? How? 3. We're faced with many troubles worldwide. What are the most serious? Are you optimistic we can cope with them? What's your advice? 1. I'm a very lucky girl. I know that. People tell me I am beautiful. I have good health and loving and understanding parents, and they're rich enough to provide me with everything I need. I have many great friends and relatives who support me. I'm very happy. So, what should I worry about?
2. The world is full of troubles. Wars, poverty, climate change, disease, homelessness, pollution, atomic bombs, and other weapons of mass destruction, tsunamis, earthquakes. That is only a partial list. There is nothing I can do about any of these things. That is why I am so sad. I can't help worrying. Am I normal? What do you think about the world's condition?